So Katie, here's another interesting one for you. I'd like to talk a little bit about the prophet Hosea. And he prophesied to the northern kingdom of Israel. And he was known as a minor prophet, not because his message was any less profound, but because his book is only 14 chapters long, as opposed to, Jeremiah, Isaiah, who have books 30, 40, 50 chapters plus in length. And as far as I can tell, Kate, it's divided into two sections. The first section deals with his personal life, and that's chapters 1 through 3. And the second and final section deal with the prophecies that Hosea had for the northern kingdom of Israel. And that's chapters, obviously, 4 through 14. And if you understand the first 3 chapters, you get the basic message for the entire book. And so we open Hosea, and he is an upright man, and the Lord tells him to do something, really, that is totally unthinkable. He tells him to go and take a prostitute for all practical purposes as his wife, and the pressure for him not to do that, I'm sure at this time, must have been enormous from people around him, asking him whether that really was God or was he out of his mind. But being the obedient individual he was, I think a lot like Abraham, who said, offer your son Isaac up, Hosea does just that. He puts his emotions on hold, and he takes this woman as his wife. And in the course of time, he fathers 3 sons with her, though it maybe is a question as to whether they really are his sons. And each of those sons is given a name that corresponds to God's dealing and or rejection of Israel and what Israel has done to God. And in the course of time, this woman tires of Hosea. She's being true to her nature, and she leaves him for her menfolk or whatever she wants to do. I guess the continuation of plying her trade. And I'm sure Hosea must have been just beside himself in grief. It must have been just unimaginable. And I guess there's another message there too. But God tells him in the depths of his despair to go find this woman and take her back. So I guess the message there is that we can't always trust our emotions. And even if we can trust them, our obedience to God is more important. Our emotions can't rule us. But at any rate, he finds her. Apparently he has to buy her back. So maybe he purchases her back from slavery, or maybe she's working for somebody, if you know what I mean. So he has to pay the price, and it's a fairly steep price. And so he gets her back and continues to be her husband. And that's really kind of the message of the book of Hosea, that though Israel has prostituted itself out to other gods, and though there are consequences for what has happened, God still wants to redeem Israel. And so Hosea, I think, is an example, really, I think, for all of us now of Christ, in that just as Hosea loved his wife and was willing to purchase her back despite herself, God did the same thing with his son, Jesus Christ. And so for me in particular, it just echoes the reality that the God that I serve loves me more than I can ever understand. He loved me so much that he gave his son in spite of me. So I guess when I'm beating myself down, and when we beat ourselves down, we have to understand that God doesn't do that because he gave his son. He valued us that much. Not one of my better messages, but some interesting food for thought again. God bless you, Katie.